live yet? Yes, we are live. StreamYard. Working on a Friday afternoon. Hey, it is Brett Leary. It is Friday afternoon here in Atlanta. It is, when I woke up, it was like 22 degrees. Let's see, what is it now? I think it's like we might be breaking freezing at this point. Hey, we're 41. Wow, we warmed up pretty well. Anyway, it is the Small Biz Breakdown. We're going to be doing a special 45-minute on the dot episode because quite honestly, I have got to go somewhere else right after this. But for right now, it is Leland McFarland. Hey, how you doing, Leland?
Doing great. And waiting for the weekend.
Waiting for the week. Is it cold out there?
It's a little chilly. It's not gotten down to 20 degrees or anything like that, but it's chilly.
Yeah, I remember when Atlanta, everybody used to say, "Oh, you must love the weather there." Like, not right now. Anyway, all the way from Medina. Is it Medina?
It is Medina, Hallmark Town, Norman Rockwell Town, tourist destination, Northeast Ohio, where it is a perfectly Hallmark Christmas movie day.
And what temperature would that be?
It's about 27 degrees. The sun is like super bright. The sky is really blue. There's like a little bit of snow on the ground. And our small business town is filled with people doing some Christmas shopping and having their Christmas experience. I'm loving that.
Bunch of people from New York coming and taking over their grandpa's Christmas tree farm and finding true love.
Exactly.
Finding true love too.
That's exactly what happens here every single week.
Well, let's see what happens with the bold one and the cold one. Literally cold one, I'm guessing. John Colderice Lawson.
What's up?
Nice new headphones there, sir.
Yes. I got them from Santa.
Really? Okay. Wasn't expecting Santa to be doing.
Oh yeah,
it's early Santa.
I am Santa. So
okay, there it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it was cold where you were this morning because it was definitely cold where I was.
Yeah, what 24? I think it was 21, somewhere in there.
Now, usually this is where we would bring on Mr. Ramon Ray, but he is somewhere. Don't necessarily know where. He's just somewhere. But luckily for us, we have. I'm not calling him a fill-in. This is a guy who stands on his own. He's. I think I've known him for at least 10 or 12 years, on just through the social channels, and I don't know. He's been around, like when John and I do our show from time to time. He's been around, but he's also been around for this show. He's been lots of comments, lots of great comments. He even gave us some great advice, I think, last week too. So we are glad to have for the first time, and I hope I don't mispronounce your last name, Pierre Dubois.
Yeah. Yep. There you go.
Man, thank you for joining us. This is great that you're able to do this. It's such a last minute thing to help us out here.
Thank you for having me on here. And I know this is great to do this. I know I've known everybody for quite a bit. And Leyland, I think this is the first time I've been on a webinar or episode with you.
Yes.
So this is a treat. So
First time,
everybody.
Yay. Awesome. Okay, so let's jump right into it. I have a special topic, but I'm not doing that right now. We're going rip from the headlines from Small Biz Trends right now, because I think all of us have some sort of either we use a Zoho service or we know them or we like their content or something like that. And I noticed this week they put out a new survey around kind of shopping and how AI is impacting the shopping stuff. All right, I'll go for the first one here. So they have this one that talked about basically how AI has impacted shoppers so far. I like this last one because I don't know if they came up with this name on their own. Is anyone here a nostalgic hustler? You see what it says down there? 11% are embracing the nostalgic hustle of malls and shopping centers, bringing a traditional touch to their holiday shop. Are you guys nostalgic for the mall shopping? Because I'm not.
I'll jump in a little bit. I honestly think this is a little bit of combination post-COVID and the fact that shopping malls in certain areas, some shopping malls have kind of gone downhill. If you're not in an affluent area where your if you're in an affluent area, your shopping mall has stayed alive. But if you're not, some people really, there's malls that were the original Twitter, the original town hall. And I think people are kind of logging for that, particularly now that I know COVID's only been 4 years past, but I think people are logging for a physical space. And there's folks, in our age range that remember what a mall meant. It was a hangout more than anything else. So I think that's part of that drive. But I'm not surprised that it's 11%. I don't think there's going to be a large number of people, but I think for some folks, it's an emotional bond that they are starting to thinking about, and Christmas triggers those bonds.
So I'm calling you out, Pierre, because I asked if you were one of those folks. Are you?
Mhm.
You're in the right age group. Are you one of those folks that like to go out to the mall shopping, or?
I would say if you ask me today, I'm not as thrilled about it. But when I was a kid, I was a card carrier mall kid of sorts, basically. So the mall down from us, South Lake, when I was growing up, was one of the largest malls in Indiana. And I didn't know this, but there's another mall out in Schaumburg, which I never really got to see until I got a little older. But that was also one of the largest malls in Illinois. So there's this area where malls have been kind of like the thing. So I'll say this, I still have my cards in place, but yeah, there was a card in there for a mall.
But we all know right now, he didn't dust that card off and go to the mall for the shopping. Anybody?
No,
I'm serious, because I didn't even think about going to the mall. I don't have that nostalgia. Does anybody here have that nostalgia? Have you gone to the mall? Did you actually do the stuff that people used to do at the mall? I can't even forgot what I did at the mall.
I went to the mall to have my computer fixed a couple weeks ago.
So it wasn't
Because that's
shopping.
where-
It
That's
wasn't
where
shopping.
that's where the Apple store was. I had to get in there, but it was like a get in and get out kind of thing.
Mr. Ice, are you a nostalgic hustler?
I have not been to the mall since Aladdin's place closed down.
Aladdin. Whoa.
Not been to the mall.
I wasn't expecting that for the answer, but okay, that's an interesting
That's
one.
the only reason why I used to go to the mall anyway.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, while the ladies go shop, I'm going to the game room. Other
okay.
than that, I ain't trying to be at the mall. Never
Uh,
liked the mall.
Leland, any nostalgic hustling in your
It's not necessarily an element of nostalgia. It's more of we got the kids at grandma's house. We're gonna go and have a night out, and we're gonna do a little bit of shopping just to peruse, get some clothes, that kind of thing. It's more of like just a way to get out and do a little bit of shopping that's not necessarily on a screen, because we did do a massive majority of our shopping online because it was easy. It was like, okay, we need this. Okay, we needed this. Okay. But if you're wanting to get something that you don't quite know what to get, then going to a physical store is kind of nice rather than streaming through a bunch of entries on Amazon going, that might work. Yeah, okay, let's do that.
none of us
There you
are really into it. Nostalgia is gone for us folks here. I'm the more I can do online, the easier and more convenient. I'm more convenient than nostalgic at this point. That's just me. And apparently that's are you surprised that even 11% folks have that urge to do that?
I'm kind of wondering if like later on in, the years after it's really kind of gone away and people are like craving it, that malls will become a thing of like nostalgia, just entertainment, kind of the way that classic video games are or classic movies or something like that.
Yeah, they'll have like a little train that goes through and people will point, be like, oh, they used to go into those stores. Oh, that's a cash register. Oh, wow.
But I do want to say that somebody was saying, maybe it was you, Pierre, that was saying, I live in an area where we've had several malls like literally die. One honestly looks like a scene from Walking Dead.
Jeez.
Right, where like things have broken and there's like things growing and grass and like it's crazy. But at the same time, we were talking in the green room about how I live in like a storybook town that looks like a Hallmark town that has little shops and it's all outside. And so I have noticed, at least in my area, and you'd be surprised, right? Because we have weather here. It's cold. It can be rainy. Like you're going to see weather. But actual outdoor, they're not strip malls, but they've turned even the mall into these like sidewalk type situations where you can park and walk outside and so on and so forth. So I don't know if that has changed anything.
Yeah, I think the challenge too is that we're nostalgic for a mall, but like John hinted at this basically. I love that you brought the Aladdin thing, to be honest with you. We are nostalgic for it, but it's for stores that are no longer there. I remember going to Walden Books to get my monthly car driver magazine because I was a car enthusiast. That's no longer there. Borders used to be around, but that's no longer there. And even the department stores, the fact that Sears is defunct makes a big difference. So I think there's a nostalgia, but I think kind of circling back to what Brent mentioned, convenience is a big deal right now. And I think even as an entrepreneur, you don't have time to walk around the mall, frankly. That's the sad part. So there's that.
Yeah, it's like, who are these stores in the mall now?
Yeah.
It's like all the ones that had name brands that you knew are kind of gone. And if you go into a mall now, it's like, what? Who's that? I've never heard of this brand. Okay. It's like all of the little carts that used to be in the center of the mall now have the store. It's kind of weird.
I'm sorry.
Weird
expensive too. I just don't see the price to quality ratio. I just don't see it.
I saw a lot of. So I forgot. I must admit, I went to Charleston, West Virginia, 2 weeks ago, and I stayed at the hotel that is attached to the mall. I get to my room, and first I was driving in, and I was like, "Where's the building?" Okay, whatever. I park. I get into my room. I look out the window. The mall's gone. It's like
gosh.
the hotel at Town Place Mall, but there's no mall. It's one little strip that's left over.
That happened in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah,
they did that in Pittsburgh. They took Station Square away. This was a beautiful mall with high-end shops. Gone. Like the building's there, and now it's like offices. And then they moved everything to like a gentrified portion of the city, but it's not the same. And it's not the same. Like, no.
Don't worry. There'll be some nice data centers being put up in those places.
Yeah, there will. There probably
absolutely.
Will. I saw one that turned a mall into a school. So
that's cool.
Yeah, all those are little classrooms. So
I've heard some malls getting turned into housing.
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be cool.
The older ones, like if you were to go to downtown Cleveland, we have a space. I think it's called like, I don't know, Galleria or the Arcade or something like that. It's these buildings from the turn of the century. Well, the last century, like from the early 1900s, where you walk in and it's almost like an atrium. And then they have offices or whatever, like on these like mezzanine type situations. And I've seen those turned into apartments. Super cool. Like tiny ones.
Okay. All right. Let's go back. I got one more, maybe two more before I get to the main thing. I think. I don't know. Sometimes when we do these shows, things that I don't think are the main thing become the main thing. So never know what's going to be the main thing. So they had another data point. I think I'm going to jump to that one because that one looks a little bit more interesting. And this is one of those where you got to guess something. So on this, and this is all data from the Zoho Insights survey they just put out. So they had a stat that said a certain percentage of shoppers mentioned they would prefer a friend suggestion over an AI recommendation. Friend suggestion over AI recommendation. What percentage of people would prefer a friend's suggestion over an AI recommendation? Take a guess.
62.
62.
I was thinking like 53.
53 and 62.
82.
63, 52. What's with all the damn twos? You know, there's other numbers that you can get.
Okay, 83.
87.
Up to you. Break it, Pierre.
I don't even remember what I said anymore. We toss these numbers around. I'm like, what?
I remember there was a 2 at the end of it, even. And I think it was like 72 or.
I'm going to go with 75. I'm going to make it like a 25 thing.
Okay.
So 75.
All right, which is really it. So okay, so that's really
Who
interesting.
wins? Who wins?
So the actual number is, if I can bring this up, 73% of the shoppers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He was on it. He was on it.
Yeah, you were just. I see. I tried to get you to move. So you said
He did tell
72%.
you to have to get the twos. Get off the twos.
Well, no, that's a really. Wait a minute. Did you read this article?
No, I didn't.
72%. Are you surprised that almost three out of every 4 would rather have a human friend recommendation versus an AI recommendation?
I'm surprised that 7% said that they would rather AI. That's surprising.
Is that high surprise or low surprise?
High surprise.
I think it's a mix of. I think it's a mix of a couple of things. It's AI. We're still in this thing of creating content rather than thinking of it as service. I think that's one part of it. And I think the second part of it is it depends on what you're asking your friend about. I think people still turn to their friends for big purchases, major ones, but if there's something that you're very private about, you feel the comfort of going to AI and chatting with a chatbot, knowing that it doesn't have any real judgment on you.
Are we worried about the chatbot's judgment, though?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's be clear, though. I mean, AI's been giving us recommendations since Amazon's been out, and most people take those recommendations. So reality is more than 23 or 27% of people take those recommendations.
Well, I think it's when you actually know, like
that it's AI.
Yeah, when it's like a bot that's returning
Yeah.
something to you. It's not just a person. You know, like you go into the store. Remember when that nostalgic go to the store and somebody would actually help you? Like, do you think this looks good on
they
me?
actually knew things, and that's a big part of it. People at stores don't know things, and I'm assuming that when they're talking about you go to a friend, I'm assuming you're talking about a friend who is like actually an expert in these things. Like if I were going to buy a new car, I would talk to Pierre because I know the man is a car enthusiast. He follows, he knows. I'm going to ask. Right. So, but I would not like, I don't know, ask my one girlfriend who's like a, content marketing expert also.
Well, you would ask her something that's related to that, I guess, more than
exactly. Yeah. So like, I'm assuming that they mean you're going to talk to a friend who is hyper engaged.
I think they just meant somebody that you know and trust, like
I wouldn't ask my mom about which car to buy.
Well, I mean, somebody that you know and trust and you think has some kind of relevance to that topic, like Pierre, like you just said. Mm-hmm. Whereas a cold AI bot,
because you don't know, but we know that AIs know the data. And I love what John said.
AI only knows the data that you give it.
Exactly.
That's not necessarily meaning you give them enough to actually do what you want.
Amazon's AI knows what you looked at, knows how many times you looked at it, how long you sat on that screen. Did you buy it? Did you put it on a list? Did you?
But not only that, not only do they know all of that, they know how to use all that.
Yeah,
they also know. They also know people that were like that, also like this, and so you'll probably like this.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Versus, I will say, Facebook, where they try to recommend people you follow or people or content that you like, and they never get it right for me. They keep on saying you need to follow Gary Vaynerchuk for some god awful reason.
Because you bring them up like at least once a month.
I only bring up.
It's gonna happen now.
See, I bring it up because they keep on doing that nonsense, and I don't. If they got this great AI, how are they not getting me the people like? They should say you should be connected with Eric Dickerson. That would make a lot of sense to me. And you probably
they're listening to you, Brent. They've got their microphones open and they're saying, "Hey, he's mentioning this." No, it happened to my wife. She was talking about gummy bears, and minutes later got an ad for gummy bears.
Wait a minute, she was just talking about it, or did she click on something?
Yeah, she was talking about gummy bears with her friends for some reason, and then gummy bear ads started popping up. And so you're talking about that guy. Guess who's going to pop it up?
That's not good. I don't like that. By the way, thank you, Corey. Nice power circle. We're talking about that after we talk about this, Corey. Stick around. We like that you're hanging out with us.
I'm taking it seriously.
We haven't even gotten to that point yet. I haven't asked
Well,
that
he
question.
just asked. I mean,
All right. Well, damn it. I guess we're going there because we only got 25 minutes. All right. So here's the other topic I was really interested in, and it all stems from, let me bring this up if I can. This tweet. Anybody see this tweet? It was just yesterday. Ow, last night. Okay.
David Sachs.
All right. So who's David Sachs, Pierre?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into this. Corey, when you're here, you got the right time for this. All right. So Sam Altman, who is the founder, CEO of OpenAI, why is he congratulating David Sachs and calling him a czar? All right, let me show you why.
I do not follow this. Oh my God, too many things.
Oh, let me go to this. So where am I going? Oh, damn, I just gave away. All right, this is where I'm going. So David Sachs, who is a big VC guy, he's invested heavily and early in companies like PayPal, Tesla. There's a reason why I'm mentioning those particular ones. So he is going to be the AI and crypto czar for the next or the incoming administration. Now, let me go back to this here. No, not that. Damn it. Yeah. This. Now, Sam is congratulating David Sachs for becoming the czar of AI and crypto. But look what Elon is doing. Elon is actually like laughing his, I guess, whatever off, or he's got the tear thing going. He's laughing with tears. Why is that such an interesting thing to me? Well, Sam Altman and Elon Musk really don't get along anymore. Sam has OpenAI. Elon now has XAI, and they're kind of, going at it. And when he's really congratulating David Sachs, it's really kind of Elon's boy. I shouldn't say it like that, but Elon's protege is David Sachs. And Eli has a little bit of influence now on this administration. And Sam doesn't seem to like what's going on with this potential influence that Elon has over the administration, and the administration just put in Elon's buddy as the czar of crypto and AI. Now, what does all this mean for us? Let's see. I don't know, but there's a picture of David Sachs and a young Elon back in the day. Lots of ties going on here. Lots of people with influence, but it's a very small group of people with lots of influence over things like AI and crypto. So Bitcoin just hit over 100,000. Isn't that right? The cold one, Mr. Lawson, you follow this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
right in there.
The big setup here. We've got a crypto czar who is also the AI czar, who is also kind of the protege of Elon Musk, who is now the Doge of the next incoming administration. He's gave $250 million to the Trump campaign. Elon is big on AI. He has his own AI company. It's rivaling the company he helped, OpenAI. And now we have Bitcoin at 100,000. It seems to me like it's pretty good timing for small businesses to really start taking this crypto stuff seriously. Is that right? Is that wrong? Do you guys think it's time? Do you think we're maybe at a point where crypto is going to become a serious actual currency, not just an investment kind of what do they call arbitrage play? Is it actually going to be things that people on Main Street are going to start having to use as small business mom and pops, taking currency in Bitcoin for giving out stuff? Are we at that point?
We're getting there. We're getting there because a few years ago, there was a whole conversation about Web 3.0, right? And we have like what they call Web 2.0 centralized platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and so on and so forth. If you've been watching TV for the last 3 to 5 years, you might have seen ads from like IBM and these big computer companies talking about blockchain, right? So for small businesses, even people like us in particular, this blockchain thing, and maybe I'm talking more about NFTs than crypto, but it's like all in the same space. You know, let's say, for example, this is like big for people like us who create content, right? So let's say you have a deal with a brand, and the deal is that you, Brent, and John Lawson are going to do a LinkedIn event. And if you do that, you're going to get paid a certain amount of money, right? You do the event, and then you got to wait your 60, 90 days for some big brand to pay you or something like that, right? But what would happen with the blockchain and crypto by default is that as soon as this thing airs live, it trips the ledger. And it says, yes, these people did what they were supposed to do. They did the contract, and the payment immediately goes out. And so you can imagine how this might impact in the future. I think this is an HD TV problem. You need infrastructure and you need people using the thing, but people won't use the thing unless there's infrastructure, right? So should we, that whole thing, should we have the TV or do we need cable and infrastructure to make the TV work? And it'll do just like that did, little by little, little by little. So I think in the next 3 years, when the infrastructure meets up with the practical application and small businesses can see the benefit of this thing, that's when it's going to become a thing. But cryptocurrency is like the internet. I mean, John, jump in, right? This is like your thing. Or Pierre was nodding. I don't know. Somebody say something.
Well, like after doing so many online businesses and consulting with Fortune 100s on this kind of crap, I'm just going to kind of jump in and say that crypto is something that, once it takes hold, and I believe at some point it will take hold, then everybody will be in. There's not going to be any necessary benefit for small businesses to be late to the curve on that. Because it's almost like PayPal. Once PayPal became, ubiquitous with online payments, then it made it easy to turn it on with a plugin. That's going to happen with crypto at some time, right? But I do believe that there is opportunity for small business with crypto because there's no middleman. There's no waiting for 3 days for your funds to clear. You don't have to ask permissions from a bank to move money back and forth. It's just pure direct transactions that's powered by technology, like she said, the blockchain. So you can today start accepting crypto payments. I think we're going to see more of that acceptance going forward. If you want to get on the train, there are a couple of solutions out there right now that make it very easy to turn it on. I don't think you're going to see like a flood of payments come through yet. But in terms of this $100,000 crypto win with Bitcoin. What I do see is an opportunity for small businesses to protect their capital. And that is why Bitcoin, I think, hit that 100,000 mark, is really because people are realizing that this is another place where you can store capital and secure it against the decline of, dollar values. So, if you are looking for a place to put your residuals and have it be safe, it's probably time to start thinking NAV as part of that option. Okay, that's enough.
You have to be careful, though. I mean, did you guys hear about the Hawk coin incident that happened yesterday?
Hawk 2 girl.
Hawk 2 girl
Yes.
released a coin yesterday. The valuation went up to 250 million, and then within 3 hours it went down to 25 million. And so people dumped their life savings. There was one person who was like, "Oh, I thought this was going to be the next biggest thing, and so I convinced my parents to mortgage their home, dumped tons of money into it, lost it all into a pump and dump scene."
Yeah.
And that's the issue with cryptocurrency that I have with it. It's a bit too volatile for my
You got to treat it. I got into it back in 2017, and this is what I was talking about, quote unquote, infrastructure, right? I started on Coinbase. Coinbase had launched, and it had an easy user interface. It was easy to connect things. It was easy to make repeat purchases. And I was investing what I call coffee money. I started at like $10 a month. Then I went to like $10 a week. It just sort of just depended on how I was doing, what the price was doing. And I had also I had prioritized things. My brother is an expert in cryptocurrency. And one of the things that he taught me was to look at, what did he call it? The use cases or something like that. And like, where is it used? So aside from Bitcoin, my next most popular one was Ethereum, because that was like the WordPress of crypto. Like, things are built using that, just the way we build websites using WordPress. So I learned a couple of things, but I did not go crazy, because we all know, Doge and some of these are meme coins, are like the tulips of crypto, whatever. So
you're going way back to the 1600s there. Even
I'm going back to this. Why not? So Pierre, I want to hear what you got to say.
I think everyone brought up really terrific points here. I don't think, I'm going to try to say this without being too heavily political. I don't think the having Musk and Trump, I think they will give attention to crypto. I don't think we'll come out with any sort of meaningful guidance in some ways, because they have there's too much interest that they have in the markets that I think will kind of shift the attention towards what their interest is, rather than what might be a real potential good for the United States. I do think, I think even Leland brought up some good points in that it is volatile, much more volatile than what people are used to, than the average person is used to. It's hard to get people to talk about stocks. And unfortunately, online, there are a number of people who are brokers on crypto who come into Clubhouse, they come into Instagram, and they're trying to get you to basically put your money in. So there's this sort of safety that needs to be really understood, I think. John's right. I think if you're a small business owner, there's probably going to be some sort of transition now where you need to really start thinking about how to accept crypto. And I think that how part is the part that probably needs to be hammered out a little bit. We'll get more detail.
You need to learn, kind of like maybe, I don't know, John, how you are or whatever, but this like whole blockchain ledger, whatever, like you need to sort of try to get a grip on it, because
but you don't. You
don't think?
No,
I don't know. I
so.
like knowing what's going on.
All right. Well, tell me how the dollar works.
Oh,
see, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you don't have to know how it works to understand it, but you do have to understand that there's risk. So if you're trying to play this as a lottery, you're going to probably end up losing your ass. And I mean,
Yeah.
there's just no fast way to make great money. But as a long-term play, all of the cryptos that we've just talked about that have been around, Ethereum, Bitcoin, even Doge, they've actually, if you invested in them 5 years ago, you're actually dancing right now. And I think that is part of, the cycle. Only put in what you can lose.
Yes.
If you're going to invest, and realize that all your money is at risk and you need to give it 5 years.
All right. So I think, to be fair, there are other things that if you invested in 5 years, you'd be dancing too, like Nvidia.
Yeah.
And there's other things.
I'm just saying, it's not that I think some people
it's not great.
It's like, they go to this as the silver bullet, and there's really no one silver bullet when you're talking about the investing stuff. But it's really interesting to me that I was asking in a sense for small business, is this something that they have to think about in terms of, being able to look at it kind of as another currency like the dollar that they're going to have to be able to build their business around, as opposed to the pure. I still think it's mostly speculation, not really people having a full-blown investment strategy around this where they include it. It seems like people are I hate to, and John knows I use this analogy a lot. This is like the 1849. This is still people going out for they're trying to get that gold nugget. Now they're looking at this
it keeps going
even more so as the gold nugget. And I think having Trump, who has invested a lot, didn't in the midst of the campaign, his son start a company that's kind of focused on this, the currency, and Musk is really, I think, heavily betting on this. Does having folks that have such a vested interest that also have the ability to make policy make this a better situation for small business or a riskier situation for small business? I have no idea. I'm just curious to see what you guys think.
I definitely think yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's more riskier because at a certain level, you're asking people to, you're asking people to pay attention to something that you have a vested interest in rather than providing options. When you go to any sort of finance advisor, they're supposed to give you options tailored to you, not tailored to them. That's the big difference. And right now, there's a lack of there's some regulatory issues, I think, with crypto and at some levels when you get into that part. I agree with John. It's a great investment, and there's a good argument that if you invested 5 years ago, you would be happy. But I think the challenge is that there's a real education that has to go beyond, that still needs to go beyond just the people who followed it to really the common person where they understand it. The idea of you have a crypto wallet, just something simple as saying, hey, having a crypto wallet and not allowing people to don't risk so much that somebody can take that wallet away and basically take your money. That little piece of information still needs to be within the general public. I'm not saying we're not ready, but there needs to be work on it, and it needs to be done in a little bit more of a broader way.
It requires a sophisticated consumer. Like, I have a crypto wallet. I'm scared to death. Like, it requires something. And for whatever reason, I'm obsessed with the bytes of it, like the units, right? I'm obsessed with having units. And then at the same time, I'm like, remember what was the name of that something mountain, whatever? It takes one click. It can take an EM pulse to knock it out. There is just so much risk. So if we're like in Star Trek world, it could be awesome. And this would be a great thing. There's a whole conversation between BRICS currencies and what they're trying to do there and trying to get away from the dollar, which is like nearly impossible right now for a variety of reasons. But is this an option for that? But again, it's digital bytes. Like, who's going to track that? People have lost.
Let's just ask one more question. Because right now, like the de facto world currency is basically the dollar. Everything is judged against the dollar. Is it in America's best interest to disrupt that and have crypto kind of slide in? And because that's what people are trying to get away from, one country or a handful of companies being able to have so much control over international finance. But right now, the dollar is what everybody judges their currency against. Is it in America's interest to have crypto kind of supplant the dollar in that regard?
I think eventually there has to be some policy. There's a number of states that are looking at different aspects of crypto. There's one for New York, if I remember correctly, that said businesses did not need a bit license. And correct me if I'm off on that, but there's either legislation that's on the books or being considered, and each one of these deals with different nuances of it. I think there's a space for crypto. I just think that I'm not convinced that this is the best administration. The Trump administration is the best thing for it. That's a whole different. That's a whiskey and a whole other conversation. I do think that America will have to kind of deal with it at some level. It's just I think the challenge becomes trying to get something national. I think it's going to be a problem because we still don't have a national data privacy act. We still don't have a national policy on AI. We still have it at the states. And I got a feeling that if for crypto, the states are looking at it at different levels, but I think there's going to be a little bit of a patchwork there as well. And it has less to do with crypto, more just, how the US has been doing in terms of dealing with technology. I'm not saying supplant the dollar. I'm not one of those people to say that. There's always, the dollar has its purpose, basically. But I think for crypto, there needs to be some understanding of how do you deal with people who are, and particularly if you're dealing with people abroad, how do you deal with assets that go, from a technology standpoint, back and forth very, very quickly. There's something to be said about having the access, but having it in some organized way that makes it a little easier for the non-sophisticated person to at least understand what they're investing in. So I'll say and land there.
So small businesses, if you're trying to get into this or you're interested, there are a couple of payment processors that you should probably take a look at. One is called BitPay. The other one's called Lightspark, right? They handle all the tech stuff in the back end, and all you do is focus on running your own business. And if you want zero risk, what you do is you set it to convert Bitcoin payments into, cash instantly, and it'll do that, So I know my business processed like 100. I'm not a bunch of different ones, but we processed 100 crypto transactions this year. So it's something to track, and I think you're going to see the younger Americans are going to start getting more used to doing business with crypto.
All right. So
Yeah.
last question, and this is just kind of like a yes or no. Over the course of the next 4 years, as this administration, and let me just bring up this picture, as these guys get a hold of our administration and earshot of the president for policy decisions and recommendations, which he's already taking kind of a line share of these recommendations from at least the guy on the right. But the guy on the right basically recommended the president to hire the guy on the left. So over the next 4 years, does crypto become a kind of a mainstay in terms of actual transactions, not just speculation, but does it make significant inroads into how people pay for things on a daily basis over the next 4 years? Yes or no? I'll start with our guest, Pierre.
I would say no.
Okay.
I would say no.
Ivana.
I say yes, but not for any political reason.
Okay. Leland.
I think it's possible.
Yes or no, man? Yes or no?
It's a possibility. So I'm going to go down as a yes. It could possibly.
So we got 2 yeses and 1 no.
And yeah, of course, you know I'm yes.
The bold one, the cold one says yes. So we got 3 out of 4.
What's yours take?
Oh, I don't give takes. I just ask you guys.
Oh,
Put us on the hot seat, and then you just dance away.
You know what? No, I'm gonna unfortunately have to take politics into the equation. How can you not? Given what I just laid out,
I mean, how
That
can
plays
you
a
not?
big
Because
role.
it has been a thing before these people. Like that's like saying, is the internet political?
no, I don't think so because these
It's
folks have
technology in my
these
book.
folks have a market financial interest,
And
in
so
this
do
actually taking
banks.
place.
And so do banks. You know when crypto is going to be like regular currency?
The banks are gonna fight like
when
hell
the
because
banks figure out how they're going to make money off
how
the
they
thing,
can milk us, right?
so they can
Exactly,
be the middleman again.
right.
So this
When
is
Visa
all.
can make money.
But I have to keep going back to this.
I know
We've
you
got
back to it. I just don't agree.
individuals that are like lining up and they're getting the
Because they
president's
know.
ear and they are able to
Yeah.
actually make things happen quicker than they would have happened if another administration had come. I'll just say it like that.
yeah. But I think the problem, Brent, is that I think that's a big problem in 2 areas. It's the level of influence.
I gotta watch time here.
And I think, yeah, and I'll say this real quickly. I think I said no only because I think the volatility part, I think if there's a cryptocurrency that feels stable for people, for the average person, I think that will get more lasting. But right now, I don't, there's still volatility, and I do not think that this administration is going to be the best one. I just don't.
Okay.
There's too many conflicts of interest being thrown in.
But
Okay.
it only takes one financial crisis to change everything you guys
Everything.
just said.
And you know, we're
Yeah,
due for one.
true.
We're due. We had a
Yeah,
healthcare
and who knows how
we're
that
due
will
for a
go
financial
with.
one.
We know how the last big event went when we had this future president that was the current president at that time. How did that particular situation pan out? I'll leave it to you guys to, give your take on that. Let's see. Corey says it will replace the dollar organically. Bitcoin has value like gold as a store of value. As it becomes more adopted as a store of value, fiat currency will inflate its way into irrelevance. Interesting position. Interesting. Thank you, Corey, for first of all being here and adding that perspective. That was really cool. And yeah, I love this conversation. I'm really sad that I have to end it because I have to get into another what I think will be an interesting conversation. But once again, great conversation. Thanks to Pierre for joining us. We hope that you will be able to join us again from time to time, man, because this was great.
I'd love to, and thank you for having me. This is a treat. I love it.
All right, we would usually do parting thoughts, but we just don't have time for them right now. Even to be dropping the mic and all that kind of stuff. So we will see you next Friday. Have a great weekend and stay safe and stay
Take care.
Bye.
Take